You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. Every Tuesday, Shea Dixon, good enough to join us here to start Hour 2. Talk a little recruiting. Shady, how are you?
Doing well. How are you, Matt?
Man, I'm doing really, really well. So spring practice is going on right now. How much of a recruiting opportunity is there for Brian Kelly and the staff during spring?
Yeah, they're big on this. I would say that now, granted, there have been some practices closed to media, but at nearly every practice, they've had recruits at it, including today, James Simon, one of the top 10 running backs in the country from up in North Louisiana at Calvary Baptist. He's at practice, and over the weekend, they had an open practice, so we got to watch as the media for 2+ hours, and I would say 5, 6, 7, if not more, your top targets in this class who are out there as uncommitted guys or committed to other schools were there, and kind of hanging out with the position group coaches, right? If you're a receiver, you're with Hankton and them. If you're an lineman, Brad Davis, and so on. So they get a real good feel for, okay, this is what practice is like, and then they go sit in the film room, and hey, this is what film room is like, excuse me.
Let's go back to James Simon. He's a guy we've talked about a good bit, the running back from North Louisiana. So this is a sort of a multi-day visit to Baton Rouge. How's it gone?
So far, so good. Look, he came in and was supposed to stay a couple of nights. He's extended that. He told me he's now going to leave tomorrow, so that's always good news. But look, he's following this up with visits to Bama and I think 6 total stops fitting in a Miami one at the end that'll stretch over the next month, if not a little more. So he told us that by June, July, he wants to have a decision made. But I also think that spending multiple days on campus, around the team, around some of the commitments, obviously, who have come up there and hung out with him, and the coaching staff, Frank Wilson is the one leading the charge here. And we knew from the start in this 2025 cycle, and LSU has the #1 recruiting class in America, but that Louisiana was home to 2 really good ones. And now that these guys are about to be seniors, we've gotten a better feel for where their rankings are at. Harlan Berry out of New Orleans, the #1 running back in the country, 5-star. That's your first 5-star #1 back to come out of New Orleans in 10 years since Fournette. And they've got him committed. He committed in January. So the focus has shifted to James Simon, who's had an offer forever. They've been on him since this staff got brought in, have a lot of connections to him. I think he winds up at LSU. I think, Matt, right now we're just saying, does he wait out and take every visit and kind of get a total feel for things? Or in the coming days, do we see him shut things down after this first visit? I think it's a possibility, but it wouldn't shock me if he just went through with it and took the visits and then said, okay, I'm ready to now decide.
Be big, obviously. This 2025 class has been so fun watching it come together. There's another SEC target who is an Arkansas decommitment, and it's offensive lineman Kerney. Tell me if I'm mispronouncing it, Shea. But what can you tell? So he visits LSU, then decommits from Arkansas. Generally, that's a pretty good sign, right?
It is. And I said Kern, so maybe one of us is wrong.
Okay.
Well, certainly, by odds, one of us is wrong.
Curne. Tomato.
Curne. Okay. Carius is his first name. We could do that.
Okay.
But, look, this is a kid who is from Arkansas, is one of the best players in the state. I believe he is ranked #1 in the state on 3, and is ranked as a top 50 prospect, top 100 overall, really with the industry right now. Everybody's kind of got a consensus feel that this kid's one of the best offensive linemen out there. And I heard his name kind of brewing a couple of months back when sources kind of said, hey, look, Arkansas's got a kid. Here is Kern. That is Kerney. That is quite talented. He's committed to the Razorbacks, but LSU felt like they had a shot, and they got him down this past weekend. He got to watch practice. He got to see the facilities, and probably most importantly, meet in depth with Brad Davis and staff. That he went on Sunday. On Monday, he announces he's no longer committed to Arkansas. So for a kid who has not done a lot of visits, it's not like he's been to 55 schools and is reopening it back up. This is a small-town kid from Marion in Arkansas who I think kind of once again, we've seen it. Brad Davis is rolling, likes what LSU's selling, likes the direction the program's going, and certainly whatever Brad Davis's pitch is, it's a good one because we're rolling on 3 to 4 years here where you could put his haul up against anybody else, on staff in that position group, and it's one of the best. And they've already got 3 guys committed now with Tyler Miller, the number 1 interior offensive lineman most recently, but 2 of them are top 100 prospects, Matt. And so is Kerney. Think about that.
We'll figure it out.
Go, 4 linemen, 3 of them be top 100 players. 2 of them not from the state, from border states in Mississippi and Arkansas. So kudos to the staff, and yes, it's pointing in that direction. I'd be a little surprised if we didn't end up at LSU based off visiting and then immediately decommitting. But regardless, they made a pretty strong impression there.
Shea Dixon's our guest on Twitter at Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Another offensive lineman, top 100 prospect, not from the state. A guy we've talked about a good bit is Micah Dotson. He was back on campus. What's the latest there?
He was. He came in this weekend, and he committed from Georgia in January. So I think that people in his camp, his mom, others have wanted him to take a look around at schools because he visited in LSU in late January, just a couple of weeks after backing off Georgia. And he had been for games. They had been recruiting him before. But it felt like he was about to pop. And I think he maybe wisely has been advised, hey, take a step back, take your visit, then make a final decision. Don't commit again, then have to reopen things if it's not the right fit. So a lot of people still feel that I talked to that LSU would be the team to beat. Auburn was another team that was heavily in the mix, and certainly was the in-state team. He's from Mobile. They're one to watch. But that said, Davis is filling up quickly. Like, you've got 3 linemen committed. If you add a 4th in Carius, that's 4. How many do you sign? 5, probably, but 6. And DeBose just, isn't the only big lineman still out there. So good problem to have when you can start to either say, hey, get in the boat now, or we're going to go elsewhere because we're in on a lot of really high-level prospects.
Is Solomon Thomas another prospect that they're in on, or who's on campus as well?
Yes, he was. He's committed to Florida State. It was wild out there actually watching Brad Davis coach up the offensive line, which is considered really the strength of LSU's team probably, right, Matt? And then right behind him are just kids that don't look like they're in high school. I mean, the kids we've just been talking about are all of 6'4.5", 290, 300 pounds. They're all 3 kind of just hanging out, watching, and Thomas is the number 2 interior offensive lineman in the country. All 3 of those guys, DeBose, Solomon Thomas, and Karius Kerney, are all top 100 guys. So it was kind of a who's who, and it just shows. I think each kid sees it that, hey, look, spots are limited. If I want in, I've got to make a move, and they're shocked to see him back off his Arkansas commitment and maybe be trending towards LSU. With Solomon Thomas, a kid who is from Florida and is committed to Florida State, a lot of people think that's a battle that a number of teams are going to be in until the end. But I would say that after this visit, hey, you've thrown LSU in the ring kind of officially.
Shea, a couple more for you here. Defensive backfield, we know the job Corey Raymond is already doing is amazing. A couple of the top 5 safeties in the country were in town, Anquan Fagin and Fahim Delane. Is LSU have a realistic shot at either of those guys in this class?
I think they do. I think geographically, if we're talking realistic in percentages, Fahim is from Maryland. Fahim, is from Maryland. Fagins is coming out of Alabaster, kind of right outside Tuscaloosa. So he's a little bit closer to LSU, obviously distance-wise. Bama's new staff is on him, but so is Auburn. LSU's got a really good relationship. So I do think they're in a good spot there to stay in it to where each school gets their official visits, and then kind of whoever wins them over from there is going to win that recruitment. But he is close to the number of guys in the class. I mean, I saw him hanging out with Harlan Berry, who's committed the number 1 running back for probably the majority of practice when we were out there this past weekend. And then Fahim, even though coming from Maryland, playing up at Good Counsel, which is a pretty well-known high school, he's visited. He told me this was either his 4th or 5th visit down here. So he's always had interest in LSU. But he said this trip was about getting to know Corey Rain and Jake Olson and Blake Baker because he had only known the prior staff. This was his first time getting face-to-face in Baton Rouge with the new coaches. So he was down with his dad. That was big for him. LSU's going to get an official visit. Ohio State's considered the team to be. That's not a shot, considered they kind of clean up a lot of the Midwest and guys on the East Coast. But when it comes to SEC schools, I would probably put LSU up front. So, yes, as they look to rebuild BBU, we've talked a ton about them being in on, five-star DJ Pickett, the number one corner, and other corners. Simultaneously, they are, off to a pretty nice start in terms of getting top targets on campus who are highly thought of safeties.
Shea, one more thing before you go. I know LSU's offered Philip Blitty out of the portal, defensive tackle. Look, obviously defensive tackle is a huge position of need out of the portal this year. Is this like a realistic target for LSU, someone they're going hard after?
It's certainly someone they're going after. We'll see how hard it ends up being, but he did go ahead and tell On3 today, this is a kid, again, who played at Indiana, and then entered the portal, that in April, really over the span of about 2 weeks, he's going to see Washington, Arizona, and Oklahoma. And then from there, LSU, Auburn, A&M, most likely get visits. So you're looking at a kid who's pretty highly coveted, considered a number of schools are trying to set up visits and get him to campus, LSU being one of the, including Oklahoma, I guess, 4 SEC schools of the 6 that he's mentioning. So they'll have to battle, but they'll probably get into a number of these, right? Like, we know that when this spring portal craziness window happens, which only lasts 14 days of when kids can actually enter, you can commit after those 14 days, but they're going to be after multiple DTs, but hoping to sign 1, if not 2, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes, I think that he's probably one of the first of many, and I won't say more than 10, but I bet 3, 4, 5, 6 guys, if they are of the caliber, will get offered because they need to find a way to get guys to campus and at least come away with 1, like I said, if not 2.
Shea Dixon, On3, the Bengal Tiger. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Shea Dixon. He's just the best. Shea, we always appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.